Richard Allen is in the past couple of days, the trial judge has made two significant rulings in the case. Number one, all of his confessions get in. Number two, she made a ruling that he cannot blame third-party perpetrators. The whole Odinist thing is out. Why is this huge? Well, no matter what evidence is presented by the defense, no matter what evidence is attacked by the defense, with the confessions coming in, well, the state of Indiana gets to get up there and be like, yeah, maybe the evidence isn't as strong as we'd like it to be, but he confessed. Oh yeah, there's some holes with this evidence, but those holes are filled with his confession. Confessions are powerful. I mean, it's absolutely powerful. Every phone call made out of a jail or into a jail is recorded. They likely have this guy saying multiple times, I think I heard 60, that he's confessed to his mother, to the pastor, psychologist, the warden. There's nobody this guy wouldn't confess to. So no matter what evidence, no matter how weak the evidence is, these confessions just, it's a whole, think about a hole in the wall. That wall shouldn't stand, but the confession's like just putting plaster over it, bracing with supports. It's just so incredibly hard to overcome confessions. And I sympathize with the defense counsel, but what they were trying to do is something legally unprecedented. Usually when confessions are suppressed, it's because someone drags a person into a police station and they have the lights on, they're not giving them water, or they violate the right to an attorney, something. In this case, this guy's just talking to everyone. I give them credit, though, for trying to establish that the surroundings, his circumstances, make him vulnerable to false confession. I give these guys full credit for that. Now, the confessions were bad enough, and that's going to be pretty hard to overcome, even if everything else was going okay. But then the trial judge said, hey, all that Odinist stuff, that's out. If you look at the motion in limine, the state of Indiana asked for a lot of different things, and the judge basically said, granted, no explanation why. But for the third-party perpetrators, she gave a pretty thorough reason, 2 paragraphs basically. The first part of her rationale is this defense has not shown a nexus. There's not enough evidence to introduce third-party perpetrators. And then the second paragraph is basically saying, maybe it's relevant, but the relevancy is so outweighed by this chance of causing confusion with the jurors. Now, this bothers me. As a defense attorney, this bothers me. Everybody has the right to present a defense. And his defense apparently was going to be Odinist. He was part of some ritual sacrifice. They have some experts saying, yeah, it could be a ritual sacrifice that looks like a ruin on, I'm saying that wrong, ruin, whatever, but it looks like an Odinistic F or whatever on the bodies. It looks like they were staged in a way to support some sort of cult killing. And that was their defense. And at this point, judge said, nope, ain't gonna come out of here. Now, the judge is very smart. She's been doing this a long time. And she recognizes telling the defendant, hey, you can't blame somebody else. That's gonna be the biggest point of attack on an appeal. And so she's giving the Indiana Supreme Court Court of Appeals 2 separate bases. Hey, there wasn't enough evidence, and even if there was, it's so likely to confuse a jury, even if it's relevant, it should not come in, which is a rule of evidence, unfortunately. Now, as a defense attorney, if this causes so much confusion, then maybe this case isn't as strong as the state of Indiana wants. Before we throw someone in jail for the rest of their life, maybe we should have confidence in that verdict. And if having evidence of a third-party perpetrator, such as an Odinist, causes the jury to say, I can't figure out what's going on, it's too confusing, well, then maybe that case should not have moved forward if it can't survive a simple attack as, hey, I didn't do it, somebody else did. We already have the confessions in. This jury trial looks to be, from my perspective, like a multi-week long guilty plea hearing. What does that mean? Sometimes people go to trial and the case is not good, but they just don't want to plead guilty. And so the trial is actually, it's a very long slam dunk for the state. That's what it looks like from my perspective as a criminal defense attorney in Indiana with almost 20 years experience. Now, some people might say, well, Mark, he can plead guilty. Yeah, he could plead guilty, but why would he? Well, Mark, he'd save the families from the... Why would Richard Allen care about that? No matter what, if he pleads guilty or if he gets found guilty at trial, he will be going away for the rest of his life. There's no getting out after... If he says he did what he did, well, guess what? He's in jail the rest of his life. If he goes to trial and loses, he's in jail the rest of his life. So why wouldn't he at least take a chance? I'm talking about his perspective. He is the one and the only one that can choose whether or not to plead guilty. And so why would he? If they go to trial as it is right now, there's two huge issues, multiple issues probably. But I mean, this issue of the confessions getting in, if he's being held in these third world type conditions, solitary confinement, he's going crazy. And this whole, you can't talk about somebody else have done it. Those are two huge issues which, there's a chance that could get overturned. And, we're talking 4, 5, 6 years down the road, this gets turned, maybe not even that long, maybe 2 years, maybe less than that. But at some point, the media frenzy of this case will die down. And if they're doing some sort of appeal and it looks like they might win, well, state of Indiana might come back and negotiate with them. But right now, there's no negotiation. You can't be the prosecutor in this case. I offered him 10 years. What? 2 little girls are senselessly gone. There's no plea agreement in this case other than plead guilty to the full sentence. And that's terrible. Again, that's the rest of his life. So by going to trial, he at least preserves some issues for appeal. And possibly, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but possibly if they can get the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court to say, maybe we need to do a second look at this, they can get some leverage and maybe there's a chance. Probably small, because the Court of Appeals love affirming trial courts instead of the Supreme Court, especially in criminal cases. They love affirming the verdicts and the decisions, but there's a small chance he could try to negotiate something where he's not in jail the rest of his life. But if he pleads guilty, you can't renegotiate. That's not it, unless they find the cult of Odin 15, 20 years from now. Yes, we did it. Then, yeah, obviously I can do that if he pleads guilty. But, doesn't mean they can still fight him. But if he fights it tooth and nail now, and they get some traction on appeal, that's going to be his best chance of getting out of jail, perhaps. A little bit of life left in him. So this case is crazy. It's already crazy. I am a little bit surprised that the judge said you can't talk about somebody else did it. He looks completely screwed at trial. Excuse my French. I'm interested to see what the defense team does. They have a few different options. Number one, they could ask the judge to reconsider. They could do an interlocutory appeal to the Indiana Court of Appeals. They could do all sorts of things. Now, the trial starts in about less than 45 days, so they're running out of time what to do. What they might do, though, is ask for an emergency continuance. And anyone saying, well, that's ridiculous, they should have done this a while ago. Trial court judge took her time on making these rulings. Now, she did. And I understand these are complex issues, but she did take her time making these rulings. So I think the blame for any type of continuance would kind of fall on perhaps maybe the defense and the trial judge. Maybe the trial judge more than the defense. But they guys, this defense team is trying to do everything they can to help their client and to represent him with the absolute best of their abilities. And this is a huge curveball, which, a lot of people saw coming. I didn't see the Odinist thing. You can't talk about it at all. That seems crazy. But, judge's choice. And the judge have lots of discretion with these type cases. And I wasn't there for the actual evidence portion, so maybe there was much less convincing than, I've read. But I feel bad for this defense team. It's a huge curveball. Crazy case, crazy rulings. I am dying to see what happens next. If you've watched this far, please like and subscribe to this video. Write me a comment. I will do my absolute best to respond to each and every comment on this video. And that's it. Remember to always plead the fifth.